Hello and welcome to Ion South Asia. I'm Fairy Bath.
And I'm Sujeet Rajan.
Every week we bring to you news, events and happenings of South Asian community. So let's start with the top story of the week. Immigration authorities raid University of Northern Virginia. Sujeet, first we had Tri-Valley University in California, and now there's an immigration raid in University of Northern Virginia.
Well, Fairy, what a debacle. It's a deja vu all over again. And, earlier this year, Tri-Valley University, which is located in California, was stripped of its immigration powers to hire, get any more international students. This university has now since been closed down. It's a defunct university. There were like 1,500 Indian origin students who were affected in that. And now comes this new news regarding the University of Northern Virginia, which is supposed to be, according to the university's website, one of the favorite universities for students coming from India. It has around 2,000 students. Correct. And now the fate of most of these students are going to be in limbo. They don't know whether they can continue to study here, although immigration authorities say that there is an investigation which is going on. It's going to take at least a month. So these students are till that time can continue. But if they take away their if the university is closed down, the students can no longer stay in this country. They either have to voluntarily depart, or they may have to transfer to another university. But again, like Tri-Valley University, which saw a lot of students were unable to do that because a lot of universities refused to accept those credits. So these students are in dire straits. Either they have to forfeit the money which they have paid, and this is not almost like $8,000 per term these students have been paying.
Right.
So that is gone, but also they may no longer be able to stay on in this country.
Yeah, they can get deported because
Absolutely.
they're going to lose their student visa, the status that they have.
Yes, and the Tri-Valley University, the founder of that, Susan Xiaoping, was indicted on almost 60 counts. Sentencing is awaited, but she was charged with not only visa fraud but also money laundering, and almost $1.5 million was made in profit in a few number of years, and most of these coming from Indian students, mostly from Andhra Pradesh.
Well, Sujeet, I see that students of this university are quite terrified because of all this. The statements that they've made, one of the students, Arina Raj Bandari, actually says that if the university will close, I would lose so much that I have worked for. And she also says that my parents' hard-earned money will go to waste. The time and effort I've expended to get A in all my classes will go in vain.
Absolutely. The thing here is that these students, according to the immigration rules, the students are supposed to be physically present. Right. On campus. They're supposed to be attending classes while they are getting their bachelor's or master's degrees. Most of these students are enrolled in master's degree programs, but they have been working just like Tri-Valley University. The students are all over the country. Right. They're working in New York and even as far as Ohio. And even though the university now claims that these students were regularly commuting from other states to attend classes, but it's not so. They're working other jobs, and that's where the concern is. If these students were just were just using the visa as a fraudulent way to get into the country and work while they're earning their degree at the same time, it's not going according to the ICE rules, and they are in trouble.
Actually, the biggest fear they actually have that, either they'll get deported or they're going to have to start all over. So what are the choices they have? Can they actually, get into another university or something?
Well, the good news is that, they at least, unlike the Tri-Valley University students, some of whom had to have these ankle monitors,
right,
which became, a contentious issue between the two countries. It became a diplomatic furor. There was a huge uproar in the Indian Parliament. Unlike that, this time ICE has gone about in a more, like a soft manner. They have not, detained any of these students for investigation, or they have not immediately asked these students to be deported. But they, at the same time, they have clearly mentioned that if your classes stop, and if you're out of your student status, then you need to leave the country voluntarily. So the students have, they need to make a decision in a month's time, and also to garner all their resources, including the financial resources, and transfer whatever credits they have, because the university is still functioning, to another university which accepts these credits, or they have the option to just go back, because staying on this country without their status would mean trouble, because their information is registered with the SEVIS, which is part of the federal database.
So I think, like, for now, I mean, they still have a month, so, they can still make the decisions. And actually, the Ministry of External Affairs has also, talked about this, and they were, they were quick to ensure the Indian students at University of Northern Virginia that there will not be a mass termination of student and exchange visitor information system records because of the previous incident that we had, the Tri-State Valley in California
Right.
college. So
Well, the Indian ministry, has been quick to respond to this, unlike the Tri-Valley University, which, got out of control before the Indian authorities finally try to make amends by, talking to their US counterparts. And also I think the State Department has learned a lesson by not taking on the entire Indian diplomatic corps, because Meera Shankar at that time, Ambassador Meera Shankar got involved, and also the External Affairs Minister Krishna had got involved in the issue. But the thing is that there are 100,000 Indian students who are enrolled in US universities. And I just don't get this, that at a time when the US really badly needs money from whatever sources that they can get, it seems to me that they are actually on driving away these students. Now, of course, this was a tip of the iceberg, as I had mentioned at that time that the Tri-Valley University was going to be tip of the iceberg. There are more universities which are going to come under investigation following that. Of course, this is happening, but it seems like this should be taken care of at the at the US end. They should make sure and notify the students in advance that which are the universities which should not be accepting the students. There should be adequate warning, not a month's warning, but at least a 6-month time warning for that, is so that at least get to transfer their semester credits. This is like leaving the students in a limbo.
right. Oh, why the target is like really the Indian students?
Well, this is, this university has around 2,400 students altogether, and out of them almost 95% are of Indian origin. They accept only international students. There might be a few, very few local students. We don't know the exact number, but most of them are again from India. So, and this was, they claim to be one of the most popular, as I said earlier, American universities for Indian students. The founder has come out saying that it's a very profitable university. They would be able to take care of this with the US immigration authorities, but I don't really believe that's going to happen. And also the university has been making news for another reason. The Chancellor David Lee, according to the smoking gun, was actually had placed ads that he was running a kind of a sex slave, he was actually in the process of recruiting some sex slaves for a dungeon in his place. Now, this is not exactly what students look for in a chancellor of a university.
Exactly.
The university
Doesn't
which
that
they are
tell
attending.
you something about the university?
Absolutely.
Actually, one of the students actually made a good statement. Says that I've not seen anything illegal going on in the school. It is true that administration at university is not perfect, but this does not mean they violated the law. I mean, so
well, we can only sympathize with the
that
students and hope that they, some of them who come from middle class families in India, their money is not wasted and they are able to continue their education here in the
there's
US.
something wrong with the system at that university. I mean,
Well, the system needs to change in the entire country, not just at one university.
correct. Well, moving on to our next story, Sujeet. Interesting. Indian American Mitul Desai, an expert in international finance law, has been appointed as a senior advisor in U.S. State Department's South and Central Asia Bureau to cement ties with diaspora groups in United States.
Well, Ferry, again, this is following last week we had talked about the State Department actually creating a India desk, a separate India, desk within the State Department, and now comes this announcement. And this also, comes on the heels of a couple of months ago, there was a global diaspora forum which was held in Washington, D.C. The Secretary of State Hillary Clinton was the one who had initiated that. So this is all falling into place. But, I see a lot of and according to this, now, this was announced actually by the Assistant Secretary of State for South and Central Asia, Robert Blake. Now, Mitul Desai is going to be the point person to deal only with the Indian diaspora, Indian American and Indian diaspora within the country. And what they really want to do is to develop a tax deductible mechanism that will allow for a lot of these people-to-people collaborations that the State Department has been talking about, trying to involve the Indian diaspora more into the affairs of the country. And what they really want is to match and really publicize a lot of these terrific opportunities that are taking place in India, and make sure that the people, the wealthy individuals here, and also those who want to contribute to worthwhile charity efforts in India, they can go through the State Department. So they don't really, need to look for an American India Foundation or some other, like organization that collect money. But of course, those are very credible organizations. But a lot of time, people are not sure that the money that they are really sending is being used in the right way or not. So here, the State Department is actually providing a forum, a platform, where there's a person who is going to be getting in touch with a lot of Indian American organizations and individuals to try and get charity so that it goes back to the country of their origin. So it's a very worthwhile thing. It's a very important step. But also, one has to remember that there's a lot of politics involved. This is Secretary of State is Hillary Clinton is a Democrat. The election year is coming up. Next year is elections. And just think of this. Mithil decides one of his prime tasks is to get in touch with wealthy individuals. Now, what does that say? Of course, for charitable efforts, yes. But this is also a way for the for the Barack Obama government to make sure that they are constantly in touch with the who's who of the Indian American community, and they are on top as far as not only contributions back home to India is concerned, but also donations to their democratic coffers are concerned.
But I think it's a good way to start, building stronger relationships.
Well, I was going through what Desai had to, he actually runs a blog on the State Department website, and he says that although he comes from the private sector, his entire, background is that of, in fact, he did his BA in chemistry and philosophy at Rutgers.
That's very interesting.
And his JD from the Boston University School of Law. But he says that all these efforts is geared towards making sure that Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's 21st century diplomacy is taken care of. And it is a long term, it's something which she had talked about earlier, and her love for India, which her husband and President Bill Clinton had also initiated and shared, the love for India. Is now she is actually putting in place and cementing ties, between the two countries.
Sujeet, moving on to the next story. It's about Subramaniam Swamy, a Harvard summer school economic instructor and a political leader in India. He has actually come under a fire for writing an op-ed in an Indian newspaper that targets the Muslim community in India and has led to a petition drive in the university for his removal from academic duties.
Well, Swamy is the president of the Janata Party in India, a very seasoned and veteran politician. He has been coming to the US for a long time to give talks. He teaches in the summer at Harvard, where he's got a PhD in economics. Well, the interesting thing is that his brother-in-law is Jewish, his son-in-law is Muslim, his sister-in-law is Christian, and his wife is a Parsi. But Swamy has for a long time had this xenophobia towards the Muslim community. He has come and given speeches to right-wing organizations here in the US. And finally now, this editorial piece which he, the op-ed piece which he did for the Daily News and Analysis, in India, has really, rankled the Harvard University. A lot of, there's a petition drive which is going on right now. More than 200 students and faculty members have signed that petition drive, and they want him removed. They want him fired from any more teaching duties at the university. The university has issued a statement saying that they are there is a long-term teacher at the university, and they're looking into the charges. But as of now, he still is with the university.
It's interesting the background that you just shared about his family. Having such a diverse family and yet writing such an article. I mean, doesn't make any sense. I mean, he's like so much against the Muslim community. As you can see that he's actually totally supporting the Hindu community. As you can see, a little piece of his article, he says, we need a collective mindset as Hindus to stand against the Islamic terrorist. The Muslims of India can join us if they genuinely feel for the Hindu. If any Muslim acknowledges his or her Hindu legacy, then we Hindus can accept him or her as a part of Brihat Hindu Samaj. That's a very strong thing that he just said.
Well, he did this piece, after the July 13th bombings in Mumbai. And in this op-ed piece which he did, he also talks about a lot of other things. He criticizes, the Congress President Sonia Gandhi, who of course is in New York right now, being treated at the Sloan Memorial Kettering Hospital. But of course, he did this op-ed before that. He also talks about the Kashmir Valley, that how they should be settled with ex-servicemen to demonstrate a sort of civilian shock and awe campaign. That the word that the Americans have used, and George W. Bush used to bomb Iraq, that would establish it as Hindu and Indian once and for all. He's got his very, he's very nationalistic, but he's very right-wing, and this is total xenophobia and should be, what the Harvard University has done, what should have been done a long time ago by other liberal groups, but at least, somebody stood up, and I think Swami should be removed from his duties at Harvard.
Well, correct. And I think, he's not only just discriminating, the Muslim community. The fact that he's only talking about Hindus. So
Well,
don't you think
these are the kind of pieces that often lead to riots in India.
Right.
And Swami is a veteran politician. He knows what has happened, in Gujarat and other parts of India, in UP. So he should at least have been careful in writing. Being an academic himself, he should know what his words really mean to the people of India, if not for the people of the US.
Correct. Well, it is now time for a short break. We'll be right back.